Good evening, and welcome along to The Big Show here on NVTV. Coming up on the show, we'll be chatting to singer-songwriter Kohler Montgomery about his new music and some of the new projects that he's working on as well. We'll be finding out about this year's Belfast Film Festival. We'll have some new music from D-Ream, and we'll be finding out what exactly Pete Waterman, Tom Hanks and Rod Stewart all have in common. And we'll also find out the fun formula for the perfect autumn day out and find out which Belfast venue has made it into the top 10 of the best attractions in the UK. It's all coming up on The Big Show. But starting us off, some great music with the cornerstone. Here is Kohler Montgomery.
Sits on the cornerstone, her turning yellow, all the pigment's gone. He takes the last draw of that old woodbine. Thank God it's nearly opening time. Old man Joker sits on the same old stone. The Reverend passes by and goes walking on. Says, drunk again, Joker, at this time. Me too, says Joker, and it's opening time. The Central Bar Stone, where legends sit, shone by asses and everyone of it. The lost souls thrown, all drunk for their sins. Is halfway in. There's George the Brat on the stone he sat. An old black suit, but never a hat. Brill creamed hair, slicked back fine. Any odds, my friend, is it opening time? There's Joe Darien sitting on the stone, threw his telly out the window 'cause there's nothing on. A little bit posh and a well-versed man. Is it opening time, my good man? The Central Bar Stone, where legends sit, shone by asses and everyone of it. The lost souls thrown, all drunk for their sins. Even that old star Chataway end. Although I've named but 4 good men, there's been so many more. All traumas suffered, young and old. They took their turn on the same old stone. They took their turn on the same old stone. They took their turn on the cornerstone.
So there we go, that's a great song called The Cornerstone from Kohler, Montgomery, and I'm pleased to say the man himself joins us in the studio. How are you, sir?
Fine, Robin, thanks for having me, thank you.
Good to see you in the studio, because last time we did this, we had to do it on Zoom, didn't we?
That's right, yes, we did indeed.
But we got here. You've done a lot since the last time we chatted, including the track that we just saw there, The Cornerstone.
Yeah.
Tell us the story behind that.
The Cornerstone, Chataway is my hometown. You have the beautiful Strangford Loch, you've got the castle on the hill, beautiful place. But the Cornerstone, you would miss it if you weren't looking for it. It's a stone on the corner of the Central Bar in Chataway, and it's been there for hundreds of years. And it was just stuck in my head that this was a landmark. This was the landmark of Chataway, because all the people would stand there through the day. The people still stand there this morning when I'm around the town, you know, and all the old guys would stand there and suppose talk about the horse that let them down the day before, and lots of guys stood there waiting for the bar to open. And I remember a lot of the old characters from the 70s and been told stories about some of the characters that were before my time. And I thought I would come at it from the angle of people who were the life and soul of a party, but needed. They were addicted. They were addicts. They were alcoholics. They had traumas. They had pain, but never showed it, and never complained. And I thought it would be nice to dedicate a song to them, so that they're not forgotten and so that they are remembered, because they were great characters, and some of them I remember when I was just starting to go to bars and things like that. Some of these characters were in the bar, and you could have sat and listened and laughed all evening, you know. And I think it's what makes a bar is the characters. Recently I met Tommy Sands, and we talked a lot about it, and Tommy told me, he says, it's people that make places, it's not buildings, and you know, it's people that make places. So the stone is used to talk about the people, you know, and really it's about the people. It's the stone's there to give me the platform to talk about the people.
So you mentioned there the people with addictions.
Yeah.
It's something that you yourself have battled with over the years.
Yeah.
With alcohol addiction, haven't you?
Yeah, alcohol addiction, which was leading to drugs, but I'm nearly 6 years sober and feel great, and down to me and my family and hard work and dedicating myself and my family, dedicating themselves to me, and it works when every cog in the machine is turning the way it should be turning. And once those cogs don't, maybe one cog's not turning just as well tomorrow or today, the rest of us are there for each other, you know.
So when was it, at what point was it that you realised that you had a serious issue here that you needed to face head on?
I realised a long time ago, it was probably 2007, I was no longer in denial of it. I tried a few times to get off the drink, couldn't get off the drink. 3 months at a time, 4 months at a time, but always went back. And then there's a part of it after the denial where you sort of try to accept that you're going to have to live like this. But it wasn't until my daughter, we realised she had a problem. She was about 11, 12 year old. So Jodie's illness with voices in her head, depression, social anxiety, was produced in front of me where I was really at my lowest ebb. So it was either sink or swim. So I had to be there for her. I had to be there, and inadvertently, I believe her illness was sent, and it turned me around and saved me. And now we've saved each other because we trust each other 100%. You know, and my wife, who was there through it all, Trixie doesn't ever say much, which she does when she needs to, but it's just, I know what unconditional feels like, you know, and taught me to be unconditional, to make the cogs turn in our little circle the way they should be, and be there for each other.
Music's always been a massive part of your life.
Yeah.
And I think probably even more so now, you've kind of reinvented yourself once again. Did music help you through it as well?
Definitely. The couple of times I spoke of getting off the drink for 3 to 4 months at a time, I packed the music in. Now, I was in a rock band, a cover band, and we'd done the biker scene, and we were everywhere. We were over in England, we were down south, we'd done the biker scene up here in the north. And it was great times, I really loved it. But I wasn't physically fit to do it. And I was keeping the thing that was killing me and getting rid of the thing that brought me joy, but didn't think I could do it without the thing that was killing me. Yeah. So it was when Jodie's illness was presented in front of me and I got sober, I actually discovered who I was in music and started to write songs, started to pick a guitar up. I never ever learned to play guitar all those years, you know, and I'm still learning today, but I'm able to write a song, I'm able to put chords together, I'm able to come up with ideas, lyrics, love writing lyrics, love a good story, and I still like singing rock songs, but the pandemic has given me much more as a vocalist. Yeah. As I've covered over 800 different songs. Wow. For people sending in requests for Facebook.
And as well as those requests, people are actually sending you their own kind of personal poems as well.
Yeah.
And I know you've been helping to turn those into songs recently, haven't you?
Yes, people would approach me privately who are maybe struggling with their addictions or with their mental health. And they would write, and I would invite them to write down their feelings maybe, or write down if they do like writing a bit of poetry and stuff. And they would send that to me, and I would sort of, sometimes I don't have to jig the words about much, or if at all, but I would put a melody to it. Some don't work, some do, and if they don't work, at least they have. It's not about really the song. It's about those guys being brave enough to write down their feelings and their thoughts and their creativity. Yeah. So I would, if one of these poems would strike me, I could put a tune to that, and I would go and put a tune to it. And then my idea came to take these songs and take them to the studio and have them recorded professionally. Then I would register them, release them, register them with PRS, release the song, have that notification from PRS printed out and framed for these people, give them it, and then they are credited as being a songwriter, which I think, from someone who thought they weren't worth much, can now have something on their wall to say, I'm a songwriter, you know?
Yeah. Tell us as well about the project, the number 45 bus that you're involved in.
Yeah, the 45 bus is also something that came from me being sober, and it was an idea I had in my head where my journey was taking me and bringing me across people who I thought were good for me. And I was, sometimes without speaking with them, there's some people that I would watch maybe, or they've come up on social media, and I would watch them for a year without approaching them, and then you get talking to them, and then you befriend them, and the idea in my head was, I don't know, sometimes I sound crazy myself, you know, to myself, and it was like saying in a post-apocalyptic world, we needed a community, and in my head I had a bus, and I would come across these people and I would say, he's on the bus, he would be good on the bus, or she would be good on the bus, they're on the bus, they're good for me, this is the type of community I want to be involved in. There's no leaders on this bus. The bus, the number 45 bus is myself, Duxie Leakey, a good friend of mine, Jill Gordon, another good friend of mine. We grew up in the same town. Duxie and Jill were childhood friends. I met Duxie a couple of years ago. Not that I met him, I knew of him growing up in the town. But Duxie had been struggling, and I approached him and had a talk, and the friendship flourished from there. So the 45 bus sort of was born the night Duxie put up Duxie's an artist, by the way, and Duxie put up 4 of his paintings for charity. Done a reverse raffle, £20 a ticket, 50 tickets, sold out in 17 hours. So he raised £1,000 for Macmillan Cancer, for a guy who was struggling in the town, battling cancer, who was very well liked. So we all came together and we bought the tickets and we raised the money. Then Duxie done the reverse raffle on Facebook Live. At the time I was doing live streams from my basement on a Saturday night for people through the pandemic. So then we got the idea, Duxie was going to run another one for Suicide Down to Zero. So we incorporated his draw into my live stream, had a bit of a laugh, bit of fun, done the reverse raffle, and raised another £1,000 for Suicide Down to Zero. The tickets sold out in 12 hours this time. So then after that, I invited Duxie to come with me every Saturday night because the crack was that good.
Yeah.
And we were just bouncing off each other, great fun. Jill came in then with the idea of a podcast. So we decided to do a podcast. We've done 6 in total, which can be got on Buzzsprout. It's going from strength to strength. We're not reaching for anything. We're just trying to get a message out there that you can recover. It's possible to recover, and that we're just doing what we do. We in the podcast we try to get out and tell people what we're doing and what our story is. And if they can just see a slither of hope from one thing that we say or one thing that we have done or where we have been, it can be a turning point for a person. And once you feel yourself moving that little bit, you're on your way.
Yeah.
And we all can only be responsible for ourselves. You can take guidance from somebody, but you're the person that has to do it. But you don't have to do it alone. You know, there's lots of people who will walk with you on your journey. But if you're prepared to walk that journey, then you've started, which should be applauded, you know.
Well, it's good to see the podcast going from strength to strength. Your music is doing well as well. The Cornerstone picked up lots of airplay.
Yeah.
There's another song out now called The Shores of Killalay, isn't there?
The Shores of Killalay, yeah. In the lockdown, I reckon it was May maybe, in the first lockdown. A friend of neighbour of mine, John McNamara, sent me a poem called The Shores of Killalay it was written by Father Liam Vaughan, who was parish priest in Killalay back in the late 1960s. So John asked, could I put music to it? Now, I'd been told through family members that an uncle of mine, my uncle Damien, would have sung this song in the pubs and the clubs with like an upbeat, normal sort of Irish sort of chant kind of way. So the lyrics sort of struck me that this was a longing for home. So I sort of took it and slowed it down and put a minor chord in at the start, which sort of gives it that longing feeling for home, you know. Which Tommy Sands also told me that's what it gives the song, you know.
All right, well, we're going to hear the song now. Before I play that, I know you've got other songs about your hometown in the pipeline as well, but you're going to have to come back again and tell us about that at another time.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Conal, thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you very much, Robin. Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, here it is, The Shores of Killalay. Here is Conal Montgomery.
Someday I will return to the shores of Killalay and see the little houses cry the streets down to the quay. The island's green, the water's blue that sweeps across the bay. And I'll find the peace that first I knew by the shores of Killalay. The ancient castle stands so fair upon its ancient hill, where the feet of tread, whose voices linger still, who spoke of things as yet unheard ere they sailed their boats away. And the peace of heaven has never left the shores of Killalay. Sweeps in from the bay, where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Chataway. Where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Chataway. Where the waters touch the heavens by the shores of Chataway.
So as the leaves begin to fall, the nights draw in and the temperature drops, there's nothing to stop us still enjoying fun days out this autumn. Almost 3/4 of us consider ourselves fun-loving, and 25% are planning on enjoying more great days out this autumn, with 69% saying that the UK's famously unpredictable weather will not put them off visiting their favourite venues and attractions. To talk about some of those venues and attractions now, we're joined on the line by Adam Chataway, who is the head of partnerships at the National Lottery. Adam, how are you today?
I'm very well, Robin. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So tell us first of all about this latest research. It's all to coincide with the launch of Days Out. So what have we discovered then?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we've discovered that the great British public love a day out. And I think what they're looking for in their day out is a few different things. We had 52% whose perfect formula for fun is laughter. 42% is nature. Visiting iconic landmarks and spending time with loved ones. So probably a lot of the things you'd expect. And I think we've probably all spent more time cooped up at home over the last year and a half or so than we might like. And I think with autumn closing in, there's still a great opportunity to get out and about.
And there are so many fabulous locations to visit throughout the whole of the UK. I see here a list of them, and I'm pleased to say that one from Belfast has actually made it onto the top 10, hasn't it?
It has indeed, yes. Yeah, no. So we also asked the great British public what their 10 most loved British locations were. And indeed, yes, the Titanic Belfast features prominently in that list, and I guess that's a wonderful and much loved site, and of course made possible with the support of National Lottery players, as were so many of those top 10. I think the Eden project in Cornwall is top of that list, but you've got a whole range of different things covering, I guess for the adrenaline junkies, things like Alton Towers, but for the lovers of our heritage and history, things like the Tower of London, and as you say, the Titanic Belfast. And all of these things, really, we've undertaken this research because we've just launched an initiative called National Lottery Days Out, and it means that anyone with a lotto ticket purchased in October can go to nationallotterydaysout.com and use that lotto ticket to claim a free £25 voucher to use at hundreds of venues across the UK. And I think we've partnered with Visit Britain on it, and I think it's a great way of rewarding National Lottery players who, through raising £30 million a week, do so much to support so many different good causes and so many different venues such as these. But also it's a great way of supporting lots of these venues and attractions that have had a really tough time over the last 18 months. So, it's a great opportunity to get out and about, whether that's local to you. And as you say, in Belfast, there's the Titanic, there's things like Hillsborough Castle, but also kind of further afield.
And of course, Titanic in the past as well has been a world-class venue as well. It's been number one on traveller lists all around the world, hasn't it?
It has indeed, yeah, and I think there's an abiding fascination, with the Titanic, isn't there? And I think what that particular attraction brings to life is the story and the history of that kind of that ill-fated ship. And I think for many decades to come, there will remain interest and fascination in that story.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Hillsborough Castle there as well, because they've undertaken a pretty big restoration recently, haven't they?
Yes, yeah, they have indeed. But they are very much open for business. So get down and take the family, have a nose around.
Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much, Robin. Take care.
Right, what do Rod Stewart, Elton John, Phil Collins, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Hanks and Pete Waterman all have in common? Well, they're all fans of railway modelling. And around the country, there are dedicated enthusiasts who spend hundreds of hours building the perfect replicas of towns, villages and landscapes for their locos to travel through. And nothing but perfect authenticity will do in their model world. Now, you can find out more about this in a brand new TV series on the Yesterday channel. It's called Hornby, a Model World. I'm pleased to say that Simon Kohler joins us now on the line. Simon, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, Robin.
Now, we mentioned earlier on some celebrities, musicians, performers who are also obsessed with trains and railways. And I remember sitting with Pete Waterman in his office in London a couple of years ago, and every few minutes these packages would arrive to the office. And I'm going, Pete, what's in the packages? Oh, these are parts of my railway, or that's another train arriving today. So why are these guys obsessed then, do you think?
Well, I think with Pete Waterman, who we know very well, I mean, his passion started really when, I think it said 1948, and he had one of the first Rovex train sets in 1950. So he had that, and that passion, and I asked him this a couple of days, that passion stayed with him all his life. And I think for him and other people in similar situations, it's a way of being able to switch off from the stresses and strains of their everyday life. They're able to focus on their hobby. And you know, we've found this during shutdown, that you may have problems, you may have trouble. You start modeling, you start, for example, making a fence or creating a tree or doing something on your layout, you get absorbed. Your mind switches off, and just working on that particular item is really what it's all about. And you focus on that. When you go back out of the room, then maybe things aren't quite as bad as you thought they were. Being creative with your hands, your eyes, your mind is so therapeutic. And from personal experience, I know.
Let's talk about the TV series, Hornby, a Model World. It's on the Yesterday channel, 9 o'clock on Mondays. What can we expect from this then?
What you can see is where we open up the doors, the cameras came in, or because of COVID, camera came in, and they spend the best part of the year filming us, but not just us. They, if we were focusing on a locomotive or an aircraft or something like that, they'll go off and they'll film the real thing. They'll film those people who fire up the locomotives, drives the locomotives. You'll see our guys recording the sounds of the locomotives, so we can get the authentic sounds right. So what I hope people will see will be the passion that we have here, the detail we put into it, and also how other people can contribute to really what we do. As I say, nobody need buy a Hornby product, but God willing, they'll see what we've done, and they will.
Tell me about the Smoky Joe. That's one of the most popular, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Smoky Joe was a model I put into the range at a very short notice, because my then chief exec said, I want a locomotive that's under £10. And so we took our little, what we call a little 040 loco, and a Glaswegian friend of mine said, do you know, that reminds me of Smoky Joe that we had, in the shunting yards in Glasgow. And I thought, Smoky Joe. So I got the model maker just to scrawl Smoky Joe on it with an E, Smoky Joe, and it stayed in the range ever since. So it's been a very, very popular loco. It's been in sets. It's never been out of the range in 37 years. And I'd say that was one of those simple things, took 30 seconds to come up with. Brilliant.
Last year as well, you had one in tribute to Captain Tom Moore, didn't you?
Yes, we did. It was a Class 66. It was a real loco, had been named Tom Moore, and I saw I saw it and I thought, you know what, we can produce that model, and we won't take any money for it. What money we make will go to the National Health. National Health Services, the nurses, etc. And I originally put down 500. My colleague, Montana, and she never lets me forget this, she said, we'll sell a lot more than that. And within hours, we sold 3,500. Committed orders for 3,500, which generated £140,000, which was terrific. And I think that's probably the fastest selling loco that we have done for many years, and one that I will never, ever forget, because Montana will never let me forget I was wrong.
Simon, we look forward to the TV show Hornby, A Model World on the Yesterday Channel Monday nights. Simon, great talking to you.
Thank you, Robin. Good to speak to you.
Now, the 21st Belfast Film Festival runs between the 4th and the 13th of November. To find out about some of this year's big highlights, I'm joined by Stephen Hackett from the festival. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Stephen, I suppose the big film that everybody's talking about this year is Kenneth Branagh's Belfast.
Yeah, that's right. That's our opening night film. We're very pleased to get it. It's kind of a big celebration of the city, this film, and we're using the Waterfront Hall, the biggest venue we could get, to profile it. All the talent are coming, including Kenneth Branagh and the Judi Dench and Jamie Dornan and so on. So we're going to have a big celebration of that film as the opening night. And
then hopefully we'll be celebrating next year when it wins some Oscars as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of good buzz about this. It did well in Toronto. It won the Audience Award there, and there's a lot of Oscar talk for the cast, including the young cast member.
All right, so tell us what else we got to look forward to this year. Northern Ireland filmmaker Terry George is making an appearance, isn't he?
Yeah, down the line on Zoom, we're interviewing Terry about his career. It's great to get an opportunity to cover his entire career. I don't think he sat down and talked about it before, so Helen O'Hara's interviewing him for that online event.
You're supporting lots of local filmmakers as well, lots of shorts again this year.
Yeah, so over the COVID period, we kind of didn't show as many shorts and people made stuff in the background. We have a broader window this year, which meant we had more submissions, so there's a lot more variety in the shorts this year as well.
Brilliant. Now, you've also got Rosemary Jenkinson's Billy Boy, which was a big success in the theatres.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of a number of theatre pieces that have been submitted to us. During COVID, a lot of film companies decided to record their work and put it out online and so forth. So we have 4 or 5 different theatre companies who've represented their work as films. And it's a kind of nice, innovative approach to how they document and show a theatre piece.
Now, this one caught my eye, Can't Cry. Tell us about this.
It's a kind of black comedy. It's a short as part of our NI Independence. It's a kind of interesting kind of a drama about kind of undertakers, and it's kind of, if you like your black humour, that's one for you.
All right. Tell us about the psychological drama Here Before.
Well, that's our closing night film. Stacey Gregg, who's a very well-respected theatre writer, has started working in film now. He's made a few shorts, and this is her feature debut, which she's written and directed. It's a kind of psychological thriller with a kind of hints of the supernatural about it, starring Angela Riseborough, and it's a very impressive debut. Okay,
so what else can we look forward to? Any other special guests coming this year?
We have Breed Brennan, who's doing a kind of retrospective on her career. She's in an Irish language film called Deneen, which we're premiering. It's the first Irish language film kind of produced in the north of Ireland.
There is a Kenneth Branagh connection because everybody will remember her from the Billy plays way back in the day as well.
That's right. I think that was kind of her first big television role, and I think she's been in a few different Kenneth Branagh films over the years as well. People will remember her from Dancing at Lunessa and films like this, but it's we're grateful to be celebrating her work.
So what else have we got to look forward to then?
There's a lot of new Northern Irish films been made over the last year. Mandrake, which is a kind of folk horror film for people who like their horror movies. That's Lynn Davison directed that. We have a lot of international cinema, which we're premiering, and a lot of special events. So there's a very mixed, kind of eclectic programme there, something for everyone.
Okay, well, if people want to check out this year's programme and indeed book their tickets, how do they do that?
It's www.belfastfilmfestival.org.
Well, Stephen, thank you for coming in and joining us. Time for some brand new music, and D-Ream are back with a great new single called I Used to Believe in Love. Here it is. So that's all we have time for on The Big Show this week. Thank you to all my guests, and I'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.